Now here's something you didn't know that you kind of needed to know if you really want to min-max this game. And it's about the spillover of area bonus. And unfortunately, it doesn't always spill over like you would hope. Welcome back to another Pokemon Sleep video, it's Bro Vinny here. In version 1.10.0, this update allowed area bonus to be added to other areas if you're at the maximum area bonus. And the way that that works is, let's say you've reached the current maximum area bonus, which is 60%, maybe at Greengrass Isle, and then you spend another week at Greengrass Isle, then what happens is that 5% that you would normally get at Greengrass Isle will be divided and then split amongst the other areas. And one example they gave was you would get 2% added to Cyan Beach, 2% added to Taupe Hollow, and then 1% added to Snowdrop Tundra. In this example though, Lakeside hasn't been released, and if it did, maybe 1% would go to Lakeside and only 1% go to Taupe Hollow. It seems like what happens is, when you can't divide into whole numbers, then the earlier areas will get a little bit more of the area bonus. And in fact, if you've been following my channel, you would have seen that on my YouTube short, I showed that at 60% area bonus, 5% of my extra area bonus did spill over to my other areas. And in fact, if my other areas also had max area bonus, well then more of the area bonus increase will go to the areas that I haven't reached maximum. Let me show you. So this was my area bonus at Lakeside. It was already at 60%. It couldn't go any higher. That 5% couldn't be added to Greengrass because it's already at max. But 3 of those 5% did get added to Cyan Beach because I wasn't yet at max area bonus. Just like Greengrass, Taupe Hollow didn't get any area bonus because it was already at max. But my Snowdrop Tundra did get 2% of the 5%. So in total, I still got 5%. So there's no problem here. I still got the full spillover of area bonus added to my other areas. Once again, more heavily weighted towards an earlier area than a later area if it's not a whole number split. But this is where it gets weird because, and I have to thank Banana Tanks for testing this out. So this is Banana Tank's 56% area bonus right at the end of the last week. And he was at Lapis Lakeside. But what happens if you're not at the area bonus limit? So you're not at 60%. But if you started at 56% and you add 5% area bonus to that, will you get 1% spillover to the other areas? And unfortunately, it doesn't happen. And I'll prove it to you in a moment, but if you actually take a look at the wording, that would actually make sense because the developer said only if you've reached the max area bonus will you get that 5% area bonus increase added to other areas. So at least they are consistent with what they're saying. So let's take a look at Banana Tank's 56% area bonus. So this is the previous week, and he did spend it at Lakeside. At Snowdrop, he had 36%, Taupe Hollow 51%, Cyan Beach 57%, Greengrass 60%. After the week rolled over, Banana Tanks got 60% at Lapis Lakeside, but all the other areas remained the same in their area bonus. Still 36% at Snowdrop, 51% at Taupe Hollow, 57% at Cyan Beach, and 60% at Greengrass. So that means Banana Tanks lost 1% area bonus. It just disappeared into the abyss. Now you might say, okay, but that's just 1%. Well, what would happen if you're at 59% and you try to add 5%? Well, you would only get 1% to reach the maximum, and you would lose 4% of the area bonus, which is a lot more than 1%. Funnily enough, I had a comment yesterday saying that Pedro here doesn't want their area bonus to have numbers that don't end with 0 or 5. Interestingly enough, that's kind of important because if it doesn't end in a 5 or a 0, you could actually lose some area bonus in your next area bonus increase. Now, to be totally fair, it is still better than before the update when we couldn't even spill over any area bonus at all. So for those of you who are constantly trying to min-max this game, trying to get as much area bonus as you can, when you're less than 5% from the area bonus limit, you may want to avoid that area because otherwise you would be losing some area bonus. The strategy would then involve you going to an area where it is at maximum, so let's say it is at 60%, to slowly spill over 1 to 2% to these areas until the area bonus either ends in a 0 or a 5. Then you can come back to this area and not have this problem. Unfortunately, this won't work if you try to avoid this area and go to an area where you are under the area bonus limit. So for example, under 60%, because anytime you go to an area that isn't 60%, well, you're not spilling over any percentage to other areas. You would then leave them constantly in some awkward number that doesn't end with 0 or 5. Thankfully, this is still better than before the update when we couldn't spill over any area bonus. But it all seems a bit strange because it would have been better if they just put a flat 5% to one area as opposed to dividing it amongst all areas. But then I guess the question would have been, well, which area would that 5% go to? Would there have been a fair way to decide where that whole 5% went to instead of being divided? Let me know in the comments section below whether you feel this affects how you play the game, and don't forget to like and subscribe.